And we welcome you to This Week in Umpiring. Alongside Gil and Burr, I am Tim McCaffrey, and we've got a lot of news in the rotation for you. And first, let's welcome our sponsors. First, the OSIP Foundation, a 501c3 company where outstanding sportsmanship is paramount. You can donate to them, or you can reach out to them at osipfoundation.org. That's OSIP, their initials, and foundation.org, osipfoundation.org. Check them out. They've got this service called Officials Anonymous. And if you've gone on a baseball field or any sport field and you've had some issues that you just are having a hard time getting over, reach out to the OSIP Foundation, Officials Anonymous, or if you just want to give them a few bucks to support the cause, they would gladly accept that as well. osipfoundation.org. Also brought to you by Out West Officials. We'll have more on them coming up later. And here with all the news of the week, starting off with our officials, umpires just being seen too much by certain teams. Here with that news is Gil Ember.
This is a great story that Dale Scott brought to our attention. There was an athletic piece where they actually quoted Dale talking about the old school minor league days where you would be, due to travel limitations, stuck with a team for a homestand at a time or even longer than that. And what ends up happening is you get a team, then they don't like a call you make, and it compounds after another call. And suddenly they're convinced that you're against them and that they have to yell at you because we're men and we don't know how to talk any better than that. And it leads to a volatile situation where people get thrown out of games and all sorts of unpleasantness. And now you understand why assigners don't put people in the same spot for the entire season.
Yeah, so this happens in indie ball a lot. I know it happens in summer collegiate ball a lot where things, you might not have the pay. They use local officials and that person may only do one or two cities. Well, in indie ball, even with traveling crews, sometimes you see a team a lot. And a team, I can tell you a story back in 2007. I'm working as a two-man in the American Association, and we saw Sioux City 17 out of 21 games that we had. That means also it was at least probably 17 of 20 games that they had. Now, they had a manager by the name of Ed Noddle, who was a AAA guy, and some of you may know him as the manager of Pawtucket for a number of years. Almost got 5 or 6 big league jobs, never did, ended up in the Indy. But he controlled his team unbelievably, and they wouldn't say boo. And if they did, he wanted to know about it. So when you have a manager that takes control of the team and the dugout, you're going to have situations that don't exist. But when you have managers that consistently take that A.J. Hinch approach and that, oh, I have no idea what's going on 3 feet away from me idea, then you're going to have some problems. And they manifested on Sunday where we had 7 ejections.
Yeah, it's coming to a head. I mean, I might be biased because I'm over here on the West Coast where it's extremely hot and unpleasant and all of these other things. But the heat gets to people, even when it's not actually hot where they are. It's the dog days of summer. It's just a compressed version of that, but it still is mid-August.
Well, it's important to remember too, Gil, that this is a 60-game season. So everything's truncated. This is much more like a college schedule. And when you have college baseball, you might only have 8 weekends to perform, right? So if you don't perform on a couple of those weekends, you're positioning in the NCAA tournament, or you're positioning in your conference tournament, or you're positioning out of your conference tournament, may be the case. So these games are going to take a lot more importance as far as the players and managers go. Remember, there's still jobs on the line. Players are still fighting for contracts that are free agents, so a lot of things to consider as this gets going. I have a feeling it's going to be a very, very hectic couple of weeks here, Gil, because remember, I just looked at the Mets the other day. They're a game and a half out of the wild card or the last wild card spot, and they're like 9-14. So that pretty much tells you that everybody's in it at this point. And Gil forgot to mute his microphone, so this is called filler if you've been in the business at all. And now Gil will talk on command. Watch this.
We have this situation where it's a shortened season, as you said, and so many umpires who have been around forever have opted out. And we went over this last year when we talked about the Brett Gardner situation, how the Yankees seem to target the call-ups because they know they can't get away with it with the people with more tenure. And it's not necessarily that they're going after people who have less tenure or more. I mean, the most recent ejections on Sunday, they were all people like, you got Timmons and Carapazza and Little. These are full-timers to begin with. But the point of that, we haven't actually had many of the call-up variety ejections, but nonetheless, these types of things are going to be sort of compounded because you have new people coming up, and you have to figure out who's going to take responsibility for them, and it falls to the regulars on the crew, such that every call that a regular makes that you might let go might not be as easily forgiven because you don't perceive the crew as perchance being able to make those calls anymore. You don't see the distribution of experience anymore. And it's sort of a minor thing, but it's still, it carries over into the dynamics, and that's where you see, oh yeah, I can actually have the argument with the veteran with no ill effects on the newer people, or no ill effects really on me to begin with.
Speaking of no effects, let's talk home plate collision rule. This is a rule that is, I haven't liked it since its inception. I think its intent was good, but what a disaster we had this week. We had a play at the plate that I just didn't like. It just didn't pass the smell test for me. I think as far as the rule is written, that these umpires got it correct. But if we have a home plate collision rule, what's it for? Here we have a runner from first base trying to score to tie the game, and he starts his slide. The catcher never changes his position, and the runner slides into the shin guard, slides into his foot. I mean, and it affected the play, in my opinion. I think we probably have a safe there based on the way the catcher catches the ball and is going to have to reach down if his foot isn't there. So, I think this rule should be one or the other. Either you can blow this guy up while he's standing there without the ball, Gil, or you have to call this a situation where he's not giving a path to slide. This was a call stands in New York. I've talked about it with a few guys. Most people don't like this rule, but I think if this is what the rule is for, this is what the rule is for, right? And we didn't get that on this play. So if we have a rule, I don't like the way it's written. I don't like the way it's enforced. I know the first year we had this, Gil, there was there were like 6 or 7 different interpretations. Then we had the Mike Winters debacle with Mike Redwin in Miami, where they messed up that call in the replay center. This rule is a mess. It's just a mess.
The way MLB has been interpreting it ever since they put out the modified interpretation in 14 after the Redmond incident in Miami, they've been interpreting it as follows. The catcher has to give a path to the runner attempting to score unless he is actually in possession of the ball. Unless, to field the throw, he must occupy his position, which would otherwise block the runner. They added the following: notwithstanding those provisions of the rule, if the runner would otherwise have been declared out, the runner is to be declared out. And what that means is that if essentially the ball beats him to the base, even if the catcher has blocked access prior to receiving the throw, because the runner would otherwise have been declared out because the ball beat him there and the catcher didn't physically hinder him from scoring without the ball, the runner is going to be declared out anyway. Let's look at the still frame we have right now. I think there's Fonzie behind the plate set up really in that line. They've been going with this foul line. You see the catcher's foot, and it's tough to highlight, but you see the catcher's left foot, which is pretty much on that line, the third base line. They've been using that as a guide. If you give the runner all the space into foul territory, that's okay. But if you block off fair and foul territory, you're in trouble. So in this case, he starts off trying to give the runner foul territory. Yes, I do think the foot is a little bit over the line, so there's a bit iffy question there. But as we proceed with this play, that foot, as you see, goes to its left, and now he's completely blocking the base without possession of the ball. He does not need to be in this position to field the throw. He could have fielded the throw in what we saw two seconds prior to this with his left foot on the line. He doesn't need to extend his left foot, so he is blocking the plate here. He does not need to field the throw this way. However, as we proceed with this, now he has the ball. The runner has yet to score. Even if we transpose the runner and move the runner over here and assume that he was going to slide directly into the catcher still has the ball prior to the anticipated contact occurring. Because of that, MLB's interpretation that the runner would be out notwithstanding the collision applies, and that is why the runner is declared out and the collision rule does not apply here. Again, MLB, feeling the heat from the Redmond situation, they really changed the way that they interpret this rule in such a way that it really makes the rule somewhat, I would say, inconsistent. But as far as this goes, this is a play where you're going to get a call stance no matter what he calls, in my opinion. But if I had to call this in real time with knowledge of what the rule has, I'd probably no call it as well, because MLB just hasn't been consistent enough with the home plate collision rule. And by consistent enough, I don't mean that their interpretation hasn't been consistent, because, it has. The interpretation has been very consistent since 2014 that this is a legal play. What I mean inconsistent is that the rule seems rather inconsistent with how baseball is actually played.
Yeah, I mean, this to me goes into that Joe Madden had this called against him in the playoffs a couple years ago, right, with the Cubs. And it was the first time all year that had been challenged and overturned in one way or the other. I just think that this is a really hard play to get in real time as an umpire, because if you're looking at whether that guy has started sliding, where the ball is, you're missing some of the key points, which is going to include, where that tag is going to be, how that throw is progressing in. And these are all things that we have to look at. I just have to say that I love Chris Guccione's hair. I mean, yeah, the play stood, the game was over, but that's neither here nor there, the helmet getting thrown. Gooch's hair, I mean, that needs its own reality TV show. I mean, I love the fact that he's got the stones to wear that on the field, and heck, I mean, you see in guys now, even call-ups like Ben May having the longer hair. It's in. I've brought it back, baby, and it's just all made up. But do you have any more on this, Gil, or have we beat this horse dead?
Well, this is the home plate collision rule is one of these rules that in the first interpretation, the first initial release of the rule, this is a violation of the home plate collision rule. No doubt the runner is awarded home plate. In the way that MLB has interpreted the rule now, based on the fact that the ball beat the runner there, you have no violation to call. That's essentially your delineation right there. If the ball beats him and the catcher is doing that, he's probably okay. But if the ball had not been there and the catcher held the runner up without having the ball, that would be a problem.
This is This Week in Umpiring. I'm Tmac. Gil is alongside, and we'll have more news. That's the rotation coming up in just a moment. But Gil, are you ready for some viewer mail?
Yeah, let's.
I feel like a David Letterman. I should have like an index card. And anyway, so here's the question that was given to us. We get a lot of these, and I can't answer. I mean, I answer them all, but I don't always put them on the air. So here's the question. This comes from Matt. This was sent yesterday. I know it's a busy day here with so many ejections, but when you get a free minute, can someone look at the play from the ninth inning of the Chicago-Milwaukee game and explain why Josh Hader was not called for obstruction? I know you're protected while in the act of fielding, but what happened after the ball was fielded? Can a fielder with the ball be guilty of obstruction? I was hoping T-Mac would have a response after he looked at it. Now, I responded on the site, but I'm going to respond here as well with the visual. So I can say this in a lot of ways. Picture this being a rundown. So where the guy has the ball and then the other guy has to get out of the way. So once you have that baseball, if that guy wants to try to run by you and he does so without breaking the rules of the game running, he's okay. Now, the question here from Matt, I think, was, did Hader stick out his leg and try to obstruct? That was the question. I think he's making I think this is much ado about nothing. The only time I've ever seen this was actually when I was like 19 years old. The catcher went for a tag, missed the plate, but he was out of position, and with his off arm, he grabbed the runner, held him from the plate, and tagged him for an out. Now, that is not legal. But what we see here is somebody trying to make a tag on a player. And to me, I think if you're looking for obstruction here, you're really barking up the wrong tree. I mean, I don't see any type of obstruction here at all. I see a fielder makes a play on the ball. Now, as a first base umpire, I want to try to see a tag, but the first baseman gets in the way. So this play for Jeremy Riak kind of all blows up on him, not to mention he's wearing a kerchief over his face. So this play gets more confusing. You can see him work for an angle here. There's really no way to see this looking through the bodies. And I don't see anything here that would delineate obstruction. Gil, what say you?
When I saw Hader with his foot, I thought he was trying to find the base. I didn't think that it was a deliberate attempt to trip Baez. I mean, Baez is already sliding. So,
I mean, heck, if you don't have a home plate collision rule obstruction on the play we talked about earlier, and you're looking for obstruction here, I mean, this guy's got the ball for crying out loud.
Yeah, this is not a situation. He's to the side of the guy. He's not in a situation where he's trying to. This isn't a situation where with an arbiter tangle at home plate per se, where you have a ball that's batted in front of home plate that goes 2 feet in front of the plate, and the catcher deliberately, even though he catches the ball in an effort to slow the runner down, he sticks his leg out with the deliberate attempt to trip up the runner. Baez is already going down. In hockey, we have this saying when we're officiating a play for a penalty for tripping or otherwise. And it's to say that if the guy is off balance, then the benefit that he has is sort of neutralized. And if he's already on the ground, or at least in this case, semi on the ground, when the foot makes contact with him, with his foot or whatever it is, we generally don't have a penalty. We're just going to have a no call, because in order to trip someone, it implies that that person was standing upright to begin with. And in this situation, he wasn't standing upright. He was sliding into first base. And if you're sliding into first base, it's very difficult for me to see how you can get tripped. As far as the foot blocking access to the base is concerned, Hader has the ball. He's trying to make a play on the guy. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the defense trying to find first base. Remember, this is not a situation where we have a non-protected fielder, so to speak. We have a secondary fielder, a fielder without the ball trying to do something. This is a play where the fielder has fielded the ball and is in the act of attempting to retire the runner. This is, in my opinion, not an unsportsmanlike play. And because it's not unsporting, I don't have anything outside of the confines of the rules other than to say, that's nothing. Let's call safer outs on the merits of whether the tag was in time or not.
You know, there are a lot of plays that can be debated. Okay, I think UTD umpires put up a play today on a catch by Kristen Yelich that's fascinating to me for a number of reasons. But this is not one that he said this, she said this. Where's the result? I guess we'll never know. This isn't one of those. If you're finding obstruction here, my judgment, you're wrong. I don't see it. I watched it 15 times. I got sent, believe it or not, by a couple of people on this play about the obstruction. I don't have it. You know, I can't say that I see it anywhere. If you do, you know, tell me in the comment section. You know, we'll talk about it. You know, this is obviously a free space to, you know, talk about your thoughts. But remember, what we do here is when we have an idea of if you have this obstruction, please tell me why. Please, you know, write it out, you know, either on the YouTube, on the Facebook, you know, send it to us at info@closecallsports.com. Let me know, because multiple people are thinking this is obstruction, and I'm just not seeing it. And that's that. So let's continue with the rotation. I know you guys are mostly sick of all the news that we've done, but it has been a comprehensive analysis of all of the new umpires that we've had. And every day there's a new umpire. And I even had some people, it's like, oh, guys, take a break. Well, we just report the news. We don't make it. And it's about 9:20 at the moment, Eastern time, 6:20 where Gil lives, because I'm good at math all of a sudden. And if you turn the dial just a little bit after we're done in a few minutes, you will find Malachi Moore making his big league debut in Arizona, where the Diamondbacks play. So congratulations to him. Also like to congratulate the other debuts. And again, it's not Nestor Shilak that umpired this week, but rather, you're going to have to help me on the last name, Gil. Is it Nestor Seja?
That's correct.
Okay. And Clinton Vondrak?
Yep.
Okay. And congratulations, guys. Hopefully they're long fulfilled careers. And if you have the moment, tune in a little down the dial. We'll have a post about it in a few minutes because we don't like to break the news. And you never know. I mean, it's not going to happen in Arizona, but Gil, we've certainly had debuts that have not happened because of rain or weather or something odd happening. And so, it's not really a debut until you take the field for your first game, in our opinion. Right. Now, with more news and more breaking news this week on the Angel Hernandez situation, the lawsuit against Major League Baseball, this just gets more and more bizarre if you're looking at it from Major League Baseball's point of view. What are they arguing now, and why doesn't it, and does it or does it not make sense, Gil?
Lest we be sick of this story, it's not going away because there is merit to the claim. Whether you think we've been over this many times, the quality of the umpiring is actually something to be proven as part of the case. It's not, you can't get summary dismissal on that alone. So what's happened is MLB has filed a response to something that Angels team filed a little while ago. So MLB's August filing is a no-holds-barred approach in which the league essentially says, Angel is bad, he is so bad, and that's not even bad enough. He's even worse than that. Because what they're doing is they're trying to say, this is not discriminatory, we're just not promoting him or assigning him to crew chief or World Series because he's so bad. Which begs the question, why is he an umpire in that case? And you say, well, they can't fire him in the union. The CBA allows a termination of employment under certain circumstances, and a failure to perform, there has to be a severe failure, but there are mechanisms in there. So the question is, why have they not terminated him if he is this terrible, as bad as they say? Which is a fantastic question to ask, and the answer is because they're exaggerating for the lawsuit's sake. It makes sense for any defendant to, in a racial thing, to go after the plaintiff. They attack the character, the credibility. If I could count, I mean, I can't even count. If I had a nickel for every time there was a character type of a lawsuit where the defendant would attack the plaintiff or a witness or something of that, or in criminal law where the where the defense attacks the victim who is being represented by the prosecution's interests. The victim, we see this a lot in the sexual assault cases, a lot of attacking the victim. It's a common tactic in law, and it carries over to the civil side when you have a plaintiff suing for racially motivated discrimination. For all intents and purposes, it's not a crime. We're not in criminal court. But the transference is that the victim is the plaintiff in this situation, allegedly, of course. So if the victim's cohort, so to speak, is the plaintiff, then of course you're going to get the defense, just like in a criminal suit, trying to attack the character and credibility of the plaintiff or the victim in this case, allegedly, of course. So MLB is saying Angel's not good enough for this, Angel's not good enough for that. They're saying, what really struck me as sort of coincidental, if not ironic even, is that MLB is saying that Angel Hernandez has never proven himself to be capable of being a crew chief. He cannot lead a crew, he cannot supervise a crew. As an example, they always go back to the Cleveland play because apparently that's what made Angel the worst umpire in the league. And that's the one play that ruined his career, apparently. But anyway, MLB goes back to the Cleveland play, which would be the home run replay review. Angel blew the whistle on the monitor being too small or whatever. The following year, MLB suddenly upgraded to HD. It didn't used to be HD. They moved everything to New York, used to be at the stadium. But MLB's never forgiven Angel for calling them out on that, whether it's true or not. Nonetheless, so they say the Cleveland game, yeah, let's go back to that. He was in Joe Torre's office, Joe Torre, his boss, and he was crying. He was sobbing uncontrollably about something related to that in Torre's office. Therefore, he does not have the composure to be a crew chief. He couldn't keep his composure in front of his boss. He does not have the composure. He cries. That's not a quality that we're looking for in a crew chief. Crew chiefs cannot show that kind of emotion, this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking to myself, part of Angel Hernandez's suit is saying that he received disparate treatment compared to white non-minority umpires. And that's largely been relative to calls that he's made on the field and how MLB reacts to them. And he's talked about the Cleveland game, and he's talked about how other umpires have had interesting calls that they might have missed, that MLB has actually supported them one way or another on, even if they did miss it. but they've supported them, whereas Angel, they put out a statement really not supporting Angel at all. So he's talking about disparate treatment that way, but bringing it back to Angel allegedly sobbing uncontrollably in the commissioner's office or Tory's office or whatever boss it was, I think about disparate treatment. And I think we had another umpire who was sobbing uncontrollably after a call that he had made during a game. And that was Jim Joyce back at the Armando Galarraga game. And Jim Joyce, and he said the call was wrong. And Angel, the large difference, lest we point out, the large difference is Jim Joyce immediately says, I got it wrong, I screwed up, I did all this stuff. Angel is acknowledging that the call was missed, but he's blaming, the reason I missed it is because the technology, the monitor was so bad. The whistleblow component. Jim Joyce never did that. He never said the reason I missed it is because of this. He just said, I missed it. I have no excuse. I missed it. Angel has not said that. So there's your difference. But in terms of disparate treatment, Jim Joyce is crying like crazy in the room, understandably so. He's crying on the field the next day when the lineup cards happen, understandably so, at the plate meeting. But the reaction is completely different. Jim Joyce is hailed as a hero of sorts. He is revered for this, showing the humility and humanity of umpiring, whereas Angel is completely vilified. And again, the big difference is Joyce unequivocally says he blew it. Angel says, yeah, it was wrong, but this is why it was wrong. And it's because MLB gave us bad tools to work with, essentially calling out your working conditions, calling out your employer, which, by the way, under labor law is a protected thing. You can go on Twitter and you can call out labor conditions that are substandard, and you are protected from retaliation from your employer by labor law, by, for instance, OSHA as well. But nonetheless, I digress completely, because what I'm saying is I understand now what he was talking about with that disparate treatment, because these are two guys who responded in a very similar yet completely different way to situations, and they were treated differently. And let's not forget MLB saying Angel, just because, it has nothing to do, to take out the part of the mind where Angel and Jim treated it differently. Angel said, I got it wrong because of this, whereas Jim said unequivocally, I got it wrong. Take that out of your mind for a second. And it's a difficult exercise logically to do, but do it. Because what MLB said in their filing is that they didn't say because Angel's blaming someone else. They said because he lost his composure and was crying. Because he cried. Because he lost his composure, that makes him completely deficient and unable to be a leader, because he was crying. And that alone has nothing to do with the explanation for why or what led to it. Just the simple fact that he was sobbing uncontrollably. That alone means he can't lead a crew. Disparate treatment, Jim Joyce was also sobbing rather uncontrollably. He was promoted to crew chief after the Galarraga game. Not right after, obviously, but sometime after. Lest we not forget that if Angel is unable to lead a crew, why in 2020 was he named an interim crew chief for the entire year? These are fantastic questions that I really hope that someone answers in the coming months. But anyway, bringing you up to speed on what MLB's most recent filing was.
And that's the rotation this week. We'll have a teachable moment coming up in just a couple of seconds. But first, I think it's most of y'all's favorite segment. It's the call of the week. I don't know. Okay, so it's the Muppet Show. And our call of the week, well, it takes us to a pickoff play at second base. And don't try this at home. This is a 4-man game. And our old friend Adam of the Can-Am League in 2005. And this is not the play.
No, this is the different one. I numbered it wrong. We'll be back. We'll be back to that play momentarily. But first, a message from our sponsor, Visine.
Well, I switched the order out for you because, well, we'll explain why. In a couple of days, you'll see the teachable segment put, and we're going to slice it right on out of here. This is the play. I love LA. So Adam Amari, this is kind of like a staring contest between Fernando Tatis Jr. and Fernando Tatis, his dad. Well, that's Junior, but his dad, people might remember, hit 2 home runs 2 grand slams in the same inning off the same pitcher. That pitcher was Chan Ho Park. And I believe, was he with the Dodgers at the time that happened, Gil? But anyway, so this is one of those, we're behind second base. This is not where we want to be. But this is legal. And it's legal in all aspects because the runner now, we're talking about obstruction, right? It's all these plays have a theme this week, Gil. The runner steps on the foot as he's trying to slide and then is tagged. What do we have here? We have a great call because that runner blocked the base and the foot of Tatis comes right up against it. And he never got to the base. And who's there to see it all? But that fantastic out call of Adam Amari. Congratulations, Adam. You have this week in umpiring call of the week. I got news for you. It's going to be confirmed, says that masked man. So, Gil, touching on our theme this week, if you're wanting obstruction on that play at first, Gil, I can't imagine what they're going to be saying about this play at second. Because
I can. If you want obstruction at the play at first, you want obstruction at the play at second. There you go.
But let's explain by rule. And again, we're enforcing rules. And, we've talked about lodged balls a little, causing the ejection, the lodged baseball, the ejection of Ron Gardenhire this week, and how, the stuck baseball, not the lodged baseball rather, and how, look, you may not like a rule. However, it's there. So if you choose not to enforce the rule and just decide to go, I'm just going to go with the rules that I like, you're going to get yourself in trouble and quick. And this play, it's a pickoff. The second baseman possesses the ball. Thank you, Gil, for holding up the rules.
What's key on this, because I'm going to read it. And one day I'm going to figure out how to put it on the screen. But I'm going to read it for now, and you can look it up. Obstruction is the act of a fielder who, while not in possession of the ball and not in the act of fielding the ball, impedes the progress of any runner. So if you take out the middle part of the sentence, we can have a debate. But the whole while they're not in possession of the ball and not in the act of fielding a ball is part of the rule. So we're kind of stuck.
Let's talk about this on every level here, if we can, because, at the college level now, we've got these pickoffs where if you're not in possession, but if we go back to this video, you'll see that this fielder has possession of the ball. And boom, he tags, so we have an out. Now, there are some people that get mad at us because we don't always bring the high school rules into effect. And Gil, if this was a high school game and you were on the field, what say you, hopefully you're not behind second base on this call, but what say you from your middle of the infield and your high school rule set?
Penalty of ejection largely, but I want to read from Carl's BRD, the baseball rules difference by Carl Childress, the late Carl Childress. This is a great book, and if you don't have it, I don't care what year. It doesn't even if it's outdated, get it. It's a great book. But in any case, in Federation, and it talks about Fed, then it goes to college, NC2A, then it goes to, anyway. In Federation ball, you have obstruction is any act, physical or verbal, that hinders a runner. That's simple, right? And it also talks about, it talks about things, but what's so great about the BRD is it tells you specific, well, what if this happens, what if this happens? And not 3 paragraphs after its definition for high school, it says a first baseman or any fielder, Rule 832G, it has rule citation, may block the base if he is in possession of the ball or if he blocks only part of the base. Now, in this case, we don't need the only if he blocks any part of the base, because if he is in possession of the ball, per this rule in the BRD, he's allowed to block the base. Now, I could go to the high school book and pull that out for you. But it's all in one place here. I sound like I'm hawking this book, I guess. But it's right there. It's the third bullet point down for obstruction in high school. If a fielder may block the base if he is in possession of the ball. That's all you need to know for high school.
Can you plug that book one more time in all seriousness? Because it's one of the few umpiring books that I never got.
This is the Baseball Rules Difference by the late Carl Childress. He used to update this every year. It's a nice, thick book with the rules and the interpretations for all levels of baseball, along with their different. It's organized by by rules. So you look up the word, say, obstruction. I look up obstruction. It says, here's the Federation, National Federation of High School, rule of obstruction. And it talks about interpretations and situations. Then it says, here's the NC2A college rule. Same thing, definitions, interpretations, situations. Here's the official baseball, the pro rule. Same thing, interpretation, situation. So you can see what the difference are between the different levels that you work. And you can see that in this situation, the fielder, really no matter what level we're talking about, if he has the ball, he can do what he did and put that foot in front of that front half of that base.
So we're going to try something new this week, and we'll see if it works or not. The numbers are going up. We really appreciate you guys watching. And make sure to subscribe on our Facebook page or YouTube page. And remember, we talked about the Jim Joyce situation with Armando Galarraga, the man who made Armando Galarraga famous. We've got a lot of new people to the site, and a lot of people don't know this. I'm finding out, but we've got a couple dozen podcasts, including where this one will end up, including Jim Joyce, great minor league umpires, Bob Davidson, Dale Scott, Jerry Crawford, Rich Garcia, Drew Coble, and I'm probably leaving out 5 or 6 more names of ex-big leaguers. So like I said, some fabulous minor leaguers. And also we talk about the electronic strike zone. We talk about issues that are important of the day. But for now, by the way, that is on anchor.fm. It's the Plate Meeting podcast available where all free podcasts are sold. Now, it's teachable time. Gil, are you ready?
Yeah, now I have to remember which video I'm doing.
Yes, the one that you had before for our teachable moment. And maybe I'll remember why I selected this when it starts pressing play. You're going to find out, folks, that for the most part, I ad-lib all these teachable moments. So this is the Yankees-Red Sox. It probably took about 5 hours to play, but we're going to clip it down here for just this one play. Brett Gardner's on at second base. Plenty of good seats are still available. And this is a steal play at second base. And this is one of those where the newfangled four-man approach of being to the outside really opens up this play if you're comfortable with it. Now, most assigners, especially at the collegiate level, don't like it. But, I mean, from where I believe this is Ryan Addington is, Gil, from now picture you're on the other side. Just coming off, I want to be in that keyhole, so I want to have the glove coming at me. The 3 things I need is have the glove coming at me the way he's going to – exactly. So that's – I've always called it coming – some people call it different things, but I had this name a long time ago. So over here, you're not in the keyhole. Glove's going away from you. Now, this is where they want AAA call-ups to be, right? So now we're going to let the play finish out. But just understand one thing about this play. I want to talk about stolen bases because – most guys are stealing to the back half of the base, right?
Sure.
So that means we have potential for what? An overslide. So if we just step and lean here and that overslide happens and there's now a following tag, what are we going to see? Nothing. All we're going to see is the back of the fielder. So we've got to make sure that we, especially in forming, get a little deeper for this play, that we understand that the way guys are sliding now, especially if you're doing games on turf, that this could be a very complicated play. So now I remember. So this play is complicated for a number of reasons. If we can go back to the beginning, what we have here is a 2-2 pitch and a runner going. So let's pause it right as the pitch comes in, Gil. So we have the runner going. Now we have a check swing. Now our plate umpire doesn't do anything here. He probably says no swing, probably says ball, and he watches. Well, watch where this home plate umpire's head is as we follow through on this play. I don't know if they're going to flip the camera here. It might be a little later that we have to look at right in front. So he's going to look to see if there's interference or not, and he's going to watch this play to its conclusion at second base. And then at the end of it, he's going to go to the first base umpire and ask for an appeal play because there's more to this play. Now, the reason I do not like doing this right away, if this was like 3-2 or maybe 2-2 and 2 outs, I might have a different feeling about it. But on this particular play, Gil, I like that we came out a little later and got the out call because this is a 2-seam fastball, I believe, and it's got a lot of run to it. Yeah, I couldn't say it in slow motion, but that is a two-seamer, man. That has got a lot of movement to it. So we want to keep with that ball being taken inside, we want to keep our head in front. Now, this catcher steps out and throws. He's pretty clear. But now as to what happened at second, this is an absolute whacker. You can't tell if his hands are on the base when the tag comes. This is going to be a stands. And we're not really talking about the call per se, but we want to look at the way this play is officiated from our first base umpire also. Now, if we're the first base umpire, we've got to be engaged. Oh, there's a check swing there. This may be coming to me eventually. I don't even really want to look at the play at second. I want to be so focused on my plate guy that I am waiting for that call. Oh, you didn't call it? You didn't call the swing? Oh, can you check that for me? Okay, I'm going to check it. We got a swing. We got it out. Now, if I'm not paying attention, I'm the first base umpire. You know how bad this is going to look? I'm looking at the play at second. You're like, hey, pay attention. People are going to be screaming. So being engaged with the game in every aspect saves a potential, poop house, so to speak. We get in these situations, and if we're just not paying attention for that insta-second, and he comes to me, and that's why it's also important, Gil, hey, Dave, what do you have? And please don't do – Dave, you didn't have a swing there, did you? No, don't do that, okay? Let's do it the right way, open palm. Hey, what do you have? And give the name of our first base umpire. And that way, maybe I'll do it if he's not looking. Hey, Gil, what do you have? So that way, Gil's now locked in. Oh, what do I have? Oh, that's right, I had a check swing. And now you get it. It's the same principle of what I like to do, and we call our new segment the rotation. Let's say I'm going up to third base, or I'm the first base umpire in a three-man rotation, and I'm leaving. And I got a second base umpire guy in the middle, third base, he's a three-man crew, but he's in the middle. And I'm on a rotation, but he's not locked into to what's going on. I might say, hey, Gil, I'm going home. So that alerts that guy that, oh, wow, there's no first base umpire. I better get locked into what's going on. You don't say, hey, Gil, dope. Hey, you got the runner, okay? Hey, wait, what are you doing? You don't do that. You take a slightly gentler, kinder approach. So, as we look at that play, there's not a lot going on there to the average person. Just a simple check swing out and a safe at second on a close play. But that is the play. Those plays are the type of plays that if you're not paying attention, if you just take a second off, boy, you lose the entire respect of the dugouts, the fans, if there were any, and you're just going to have people yelling at you. There's the ump that doesn't pay attention. And I've seen it happen to good umpires, and it is not pretty. So, as we say at the end of these, that's the Teachable Moment segment, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, happy umpiring, everyone.
This Teachable segment is sponsored by Out West Officials. That's a snazzy logo, isn't it, Tim?
Yes, Out West Officials, Gil. Check them out on the World Wide Web at outwestofficials.com. And, hey, they've got some promos for you. How about this one? They offer free shipping anywhere in the 50 states. How about using CCS free ship? That's CCS free ship. You're going to get free shipping on anything under $75. They were the first in the industry to offer free shipping over $75. But you can get it for under $75 anywhere in the 50 states. And also, if you're a new subscriber or new member to their partnership program, make sure that you, on your first order that you ever do with Out West Officials, use the code OutWestCrew. You know what that's going to get you? 10% off your entire order. Doesn't matter whether it's $500 or $5,000. They're knocking that down by 10%. And we're going to debut a new promo code coming up on the website for how you can get $25 off your next equipment purchase of $150 or more. That's coming up this week on Close Call Sports. I think I hit all the treetops, Gil, and that about wraps it up.
Yeah, that's a wrap. We're looking forward to watching Malachi Moore's debut in Arizona, unless it gets rained out in the Dome.
And thank you for saying it right.
Well, of course, we're gonna get to that eventually.
So now I'm the broadcaster of and you're unbelievably good at this too. But and one of the things that I take, and I got to be honest with you, I knew someone that worked with him who at least I should say worked with him, went to school with him, knew him from the camps. And this is a really great story. I don't know if he's the first umpire to come out of the MLB umpire camps, Gil. You'd know more about that, but this is a really great story of an umpire who's given an opportunity and has thrived so far in minor league baseball, has the opportunity to do it on the big stage in just a couple of minutes.
It's exciting stuff. You talk about pronouncers. I'm in hockey, so I'm with our PA, Phil, and we're every game. Hopefully we get to play sooner rather than later, but every game we go around to the visiting broadcast to just go over pronunciations for the visiting team. This is hockey. We got European players. So you got complicated European-like names. You got like Teravainen, Shea, and Taves, which is a North American thing, but still, I mean, it's Toews and it's pronounced Taves. So you get to learn these complicated things. Although I don't know what's too complicated about Malachi, but I'm sure.
Yeah, you know what? You know me. If somebody tells me it's Malachi, I'm never going to stop saying it that way. I can't. It's in my head forever. And he had to go to that camp back in it's forever ago because I knew somebody who was also at that camp. I met this great young umpire, Malachi Moore. You're going to love him. And I'm like, okay, sure. And now I hear the name 10 years later, and I'm like, oh, it's the same guy. No, it's not. Wrong name. You always got to do that research, right? So anyway.
Cheers to Mac for his debut.
Oh, you even got his nickname. Okay. Well, that'll do it for us this week on This Week in Umpiring. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you on closecallsports.com. We will see you at Facebook at Umpire Ejections, on Twitter at Umpire Ejections, and on YouTube at Close Call Sports, where I think we just passed or right at 3,200 subscribers. And, one thing that drives me nuts, we had a big weekend this weekend, Gil, a lot of ejections, tens of thousands of watches. And I'm looking at the stuff and I see 93% of the minutes watched this week, the last 48 hours, have come from people not subscribed to the website. You believe that, Gil? I mean, 93% of the minutes watched come from people not subscribed. Can you maybe do us a favor and subscribe to us on YouTube? That helps get us in more algorithms, helps get our teaching tools out there. It helps us in a lot of ways. And it's just a click. It doesn't cost you a penny. All it is a little click of the subscribe button, and it would really do wonders for us if some of those people that aren't liking the videos or subscribing could do that. That's it. That's it for me, Gil. Anything else?
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with a brand new show, some new plays. Till then, as Tmac says, happy. We'll see you on the site.